Evening. Good evening. It's December 2nd. My name is David Turner. I'm the chairperson of the Somerville Conservation Commission. Pursuant to Chapter 2, Acts of 2023, this meeting will be held remotely. The first item on the agenda that I'm going to take is the notice of intent.
Introduction.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have two introductions. So as I said, my name is David Turin. Michael?
Hi, I'm Michael Fager. I'm a commissioner.
Susan?
Susan O'Brien, Commissioner.
Megan, you're muted.
Megan Kearns, Commissioner.
Newt?
Newton Tedder, Commissioner.
And also Malik Drayton, the conservation agent, is with us.
It's Malik Drayton, conservation agent.
First item on the agenda that I'd like to discuss is the Shore Drive Greenway project. We have people here to represent that.
Yes, hi. Good evening.
Why don't you start by introducing the team you have with you?
Yes. So join Carl Alexander, Senior Manager for Greenways at the Mystic River Watershed Association, joined here tonight by members of the project team. So we have Shelby Chapman Hill from Offshoots, our prime consultant, and Brian Kuchar from Horsley Witten Group. There are our permitting and stormwater consultants. And also joined here by our key stakeholders, Amber Christofferson at DCR, and then also Meg Coughlin from the city of Somerville. So just really excited to be bringing forward to you tonight this exciting phase of our overall work to revitalize Blessing of the Bay Park. That introduction, I'll hand things over to Shelby.
Malik, I just sent a request to share screen.
Just allowed it.
Thank you.
Yep, anytime.
Great.
Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, I could see your
Okay.
screen there. Yep. Thanks, Brian.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, everybody. As Carl said, I'm Shelby Chapman Hale. I'm a landscape architect with Offshoots. We've been before you a few times at this point because we have been involved in working at the Blessing of the Bay for about 7 years now with the Mystic River Watershed Association, DCR, City of Somerville, and all of the great community partnerships that we've had along the way. And so this plan will not be unfamiliar to you, or at least to most of you, but this is the rendering of the schematic design that we came up with in 2018, bringing the community's vision to the page. And so tonight, we're really excited to be talking to you about the next step of what we're working on, which is the Greenway portion of the project. The proposal is for a shared use path separated from Shore Drive by a median, a tree lawn that separates it from the roadway, and lots of great benefits that come with that. So that's highlighted in red on this plan. And in a minute, we'll walk through the proposal. I just want to ground us a little bit in the existing site first. So we're just going to really quickly take you through some existing site photos in case you're not frequently in this part of Somerville. So we'll go from page left to right, that's west to east, starting over by Mystic Ave, where the 1 is, over to the Fellsway by the 4. So if we go to the next page. So here you can see some existing conditions. This is over by the Blessing of the Bay Boathouse on the far west portion of the project site. And when we get to the plan proposals, you'll see we were really working with DCR and City of Somerville to try to stick to that plan that the community developed back in 2018 and tried really hard to look at a lot of alternatives and really analyze the site to say, how can we maximize reusing existing hardscape? So you'll see that we are where we have now existing on Shore Drive, a parking aisle, two-way drive aisle, and a bike lane, and then a sidewalk that's starting to get into the Blessing of the Bay Park area. Our proposed adjustments go into the bike lanes and reclaim a little bit of that space to create a planted vegetated strip that has a couple of different functions between the roadway and the existing sidewalk. You can see there's some existing trees very close to where we are working. We are proposing removing 10 trees that are non-native or invasive species that would have significant impact from the work coming right up to the trunks. And you'll see in a minute, we have 88 new trees that we're proposing as well to replace those. So that's a very typical condition. And then we go down, moving towards the east here, you can see there's some areas where it's a little bit more opened up and park-like, but that same kind of condition of two drive aisles, parking, roadways, all very similar through that space. There's some areas where there's some traffic calming existing, which is really great that we're working with. And then if we go to the next plan, there is one area that gets a little bit pinched, but there's actually extra roadway width there due to the turning radius of the cars. So still plenty of space to work within for trying to really reduce our impact on the existing areas that aren't paved. And then if we go to the last slide, we are on the east side of the site near the boardwalk where you can go down under to get to Baxter Park and Assembly. This is the area where we've been to you guys a few times about various parts that we've picked off over time, including adding the native pollinator meadow and native shoreline restoration. So considering all of those aspects as we go through the proposed plans, which I'll hand it over to Brian to start to walk us through the proposal.
Thanks, Shelby. As Shelby laid out, the project area is really along the Shore Drive corridor. The entire limit of work, it's approximately 95,000 square feet or 2.2 acres. About 39,500 of that is occurring within the 100-foot buffer zone. You can see there we are in a Zone AE floodplain and regulatory floodway, but all of our work is entirely outside of that area. We do have a couple resource areas within the park, and although there's multiple jurisdictional areas present, most of the proposed all of the proposed activities associated with this project are confined to the upland portion or the 100-foot buffer zone to the BVW and the bank. And then the underlying soils, as you can imagine, it's mostly a fill type of material. And we did complete some site of soil evaluations in December of last year, December 6th, almost a year from this current date. And that was used to help inform the stormwater management decisions that you'll see tonight. What this plan shows is we've highlighted the jurisdictional area in yellow. This is really the portion of the project that falls within that 100-foot buffer zone, and that's what we'll be speaking to tonight. Some of the proposed improvements that we'll be looking at is a shared use path between Shore Drive and the park. We're also hoping to improve access, safety, and aesthetics along Mystic River and Shore Drive. There will be a road diet, and we're looking to reduce the width of the road, hopefully to reduce speeds and the impervious road cover. We're also proposing, as you can see here in this isometric, a 5-foot wide landscape area to provide buffer from the road and allowing room for trees that the trees that Shelby mentioned, some pollinator plantings, which Shelby will describe a little later, and then green infrastructure to capture that water quality volume and to provide new stormwater treatment for the shared use path and the existing north side of the road. We're not capturing both sides of the road, just the north side. The stormwater runoff from both the shared use path and the road will be going into a tree trench, which also has some structural sand-based soil that's provided underneath the path. And this is not only to provide storage for stormwater and treatment, but also to help with the long-term health of the plants by providing water during rain events and then also creating a healthier root zone. I'm going to just really quickly walk you through the design plans. I chose to use the landscape plans because I think these plans really read the best. So what you can see here is in orange and yellow are the 25-foot riverfront area and the 100-foot buffer zone. So that's kind of our cue just to kind of see where we dip in and out of the jurisdictional areas. As Shelby mentioned, There will be a significant amount of trees planted as part of this project, and that will be incorporated into the stormwater management. We do have 4 tree trenches that we're proposing to capture and collect and treat that stormwater prior to discharge into the Mystic River. You can see here, highlight in blue is the first tree trench, or tree trench 1, and then highlight in green is the different planting zones. We have the pollinator patch, the vegetated slope with restoration mix, pollinator patch, which a slightly different hatch, and then we have just loam and seed. And again, Shelby will touch on that a little bit later in our presentation. As we go along, we're moving north is up on these plans, so we're moving from west to east. We then have a second tree trench again to capture both the pathway, which is shown here between these 2 planting zones, and then the north portion of the roadway. Again, these are both improvements to the current conditions on site. As we work further along at the bend along Shore Drive, you can see the path right here, again, kind of splitting between the 2 new planting zones with that buffer. And then you can see the 2 tree trenches highlighted in blue here. Again, just want to point out that it's also going underneath the pathway as well as within the landscaped buffer. Then the last section, when we tie back out to the Fellsway, we don't have any stormwater treatment there, but we do continue to maintain the landscape aesthetic between the path and the road. I think at this point in time, I'm going to pass it back over to Shelby.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, so I just want to touch briefly on the planting approach. So we have as Brian mentioned, or I think I mentioned, even 88 new trees on the entire site. I think it's something like 44 within the jurisdictional area. The idea is that these trees are going to need to be salt tolerant based on the stormwater practice. And so the tree list is heavily rooted in Somerville guidelines, both the Urban Forestry Management Plan, the Pollinator Action Plan, as well as their salt tolerance. And so we've been collaborating closely with DCR and the city of Somerville to review the tree species, as well as we're going to have these select areas of pollinator patches. So this was an area identified in the Pollinator Action Plan as being a high priority area to introduce habitat. So at key gateway moments along the Greenway, we are providing approximately 1,500 square feet of pollinator habitat to supplement, the woody tree species with different species, so that we can play off of what's happening in the rest of the site and try to round out the habitat on that front. The plantings are heavily informed by being low maintenance and working closely with those 2 teams to make sure that we're providing something that is appropriate for the management capabilities of both DCR and Somerville in the respective areas.
Right, Shelby, can I jump in for a second? I'm just trying to understand the graphic in front of us.
Yes, thank you very much.
This is like a blow up. This is the detail in their blow up. Okay.
Thank you for asking that. Yes, on the bottom you can see a little bit more of the overall that Brian was showing, and and then in the bottom left, I think that's at the corner of Putnam where the raised table is. You can see the green hatch that relates directly to that area. Yep, showing what those pollinators species would be. Yep. Thank you for asking that. It was a great question.
Yeah, and just for frame of reference, it was the second slide here that was the blow up.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. In addition, we're working with the city of Somerville on doing on the areas between the pollinator patches where it appears as lawn. The idea is it's a polyculture lawn to provide just a little bit of the different mix of species to just try to oomph up the wildlife benefit everywhere we can. And then there is a small patch of restoration on the far right side of that bottom overall plan. You can see a green hatch plan north of the shared use path, where that tight area where it's a little bit more wooded in the existing condition, restoring that back with appropriate native woodland edge species. That's it for the planting part. I'll just turn it back over to you, Brian.
Okay, thanks, Shelby. So the reconfiguration of the pathway and then the road diet, the whole goal here is to improve the landscape and, as we mentioned, the aesthetics. But I think more importantly is the water quality along Shore Drive and within the buffer zone, and the gradient areas, because we are now trying to intercept as much stormwater and to meet the water quality volume to the maximum extent practicable. It's also, I think, important to note that there's no direct alteration to the other resources within the area. As you can see here this is the proposed impacts within the buffer zone. Just walk through this really quickly. The roadway is being reduced, as I mentioned, so there's a reduction in the impervious cover. Because we are making this a shared multi-use path, there is some path widening that increases that impervious cover, and there's a little bit of trail surface aggregate that we're using in the connection points, and I think for some of the bench areas. But overall, we're still providing a reduction in impervious cover, and it's really swapping the pathway impervious with roadway. So that we see that as a win as well. I think it's also important to note that the lawn area, there's a pretty good reduction there, and that's due to the addition of that landscape strip that Shelby mentioned, as well as the pollinator plantings and some restoration plantings as well. So I think overall, this is it's a project that should provide some benefits to the abutting resources. And I think at that point,
Yeah.
I am going to stop talking and let you all weigh in. I will keep sharing my screen in case there are things people want us to go back to, or if it's helpful when we're answering questions, or if not, I can stop sharing so we can all see each other again.
Why don't you keep it up for now? Because I think some of the questions might want us to go back to them. I do want to open it up to fellow commissioners. Does anyone have any questions? If no one does, I do have a couple questions. The first question I had is with regard to the tree removal plan, Shelby, that you referred to. I think you said I was wondering whether we have received a map that marks the trees that are planned for removal, and whether you've been working with Malik or our other, tree specialists.
Yes. So we've been working closely with the folks at PSEP, and we've been working with Vanessa Buckley. And in the plans in the NOI, there is a demo plan that shows the trees noted for removal.
Okay.
And
then
I was just going to say that I can second that too. So I'm Meg Coughlin. I have video off because I'm actually on vacation right now, but this is an important meeting, so I wanted to be here. But we have been reviewing I'm the project manager on this for the public space and urban forestry team. And at every point of reviews, we have ensured that that Vanessa Buckley has reviewed the sets. So she had seen where we designated the removals and the need to do that. And then also just sort of the gross benefit of the net trees that we are adding to the project.
Thank you. So then even with the removal, there's a net gain of 88 trees? Did I understand that correctly?
We are introducing a 78.
I wrote down 88. Okay, 78 trees.
It's 88 new trees. Yep.
88. And so it's a net gain of 78 new trees? Okay. The question I had about the path, and I feel like every different NOI what I'm getting to is pervious versus impervious material for the path. You guys have chosen impervious. I know some projects come before us, with the decision, to put impervious pavement.
Like 207.
That decision.
Yeah, I can speak to that. We did look at porous materials for the pathway. There were some challenges as it relates to the water table and the soil conditions there for infiltration. And in fact, we are under draining our tree trenches because of that reason, that we don't really have well-drained soils And then we're trying to maintain separation from the water table as well. So due to the high water table and the soils, and there were some other factors that weighed in as well from the design side, but we decided that we would use just the more traditional pavement, but to keep in mind that we are including the structural sand-based soils underneath, and we are using underneath that pathway for stormwater storage. So you are getting some of that benefit of the porous, you're just not getting the direct surface infiltration.
And that's actually a good segue. Can you talk a little more about the stormwater treatment that you're putting in?
Sure. So there are the tree trenches, which I pointed out here. There's 4 of them. The way that this works is the water comes down the gutter line, enters into this small sediment forebay that would allow your solids and trash and debris to settle out. Easy maintenance that someone can go in and just clean that space. It would then overflow for the water quality volume, again, sized. Some of them are slightly under, but again, we're trying to meet to the maximum extent practicable based upon some of the utilities that are out there. Created some challenges as far as putting stormwater into the ground. So there's a feeder pipe that then puts that stormwater below the root zone, which you can see here in this graphic. Again, we're not directly under the trees because we don't want that tree sitting on top of this feeder pipe. The water would then be discharged in, and there's basically a reservoir in there through void space with the sand-based structural soils and some gravel that would allow the water to accumulate, allow those trees access to some of that water. There would be some level of infiltration, and then there'd be a discharge when it exceeds the capacity. And it would either directly connect back into the drainage system through the underdrain, which is shown here, or during a large storm event, the inlet would not be able to keep up and the water would stay in the gutter line and continue into the existing drainage infrastructure that's already in place. And there is some minor improvements in relocation of some of the drainage infrastructure that's in Shore Drive. That's shown here, that some of these catch basin structures, because we are pulling that, we're reducing the road width and creating this buffer, this landscape buffer between the road and the pathway, that we are required, or it's requiring us to relocate a couple of those structures. But the entire drainage network for the larger storm events remains intact, and there'll be some improvements because you'll have a couple of newer structures.
So there'll be some sort of a regulator structure or a passive regulator structure to direct the first flow into that detention basin, and the overflow will then pop out again?
Yep, that's absolutely correct. That it will come into this, there'll be a slight depression, and there's an inlet in the curb line here that would allow you, hopefully I don't lose my screen when I do this, okay, that will allow that water to get in. And really what's regulating the flow is this structure here, which I believe is a 12-inch, just like a PVC drain basin, and then the pipe, which I believe is 6 inches. So that's really regulating the water quality. And then what happens, this fills up and the water is just going to continue on in the gutter line. It's a more cost-effective approach because it doesn't allow us to put a much larger structure in and make these connections. And it really allows this system to just take the water quality volume, or as I said, in this case, probably slightly less than the 1 inch, but definitely the ½ inch.
Okay. Any commissioners, anyone else have questions?
Yeah, I do. I was wondering, for the area that's in the 100-foot buffer zone, what are you doing for sediment controls?
Just to clarify, you're talking about during construction, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So we do have an erosion control plan and site preparation plan that we submitted. We have silt sock. I can pull that plan up. I don't. Hold on a second. Yeah, you guys seeing the new plan set? Or are you still seeing the presentation?
Yes.
So yeah, on the erosion and sediment control plans, we have a silt sock along the perimeter within the landscape to protect any runoff that may be leaving the site The good news is this site's relatively flat, and I think, stormwater management during construction should be not too complicated. We also have silt sacks that are going into all of the catch basin structures, not only the ones that we're disturbing or working with, but any catch basin that's within the limit of work because vehicles tracking or things like that. We also have made contingencies for some level of vehicle tracking once the construction access point is determined.
So you're
Yeah, go on, Michael.
I was gonna say, you feel confident that nothing is gonna be running off from this work site into the river?
As long as the contractor follows the erosion control plan, yeah, I think this is it should sufficiently protect any.
And who's gonna be keeping track of this?
The
Is that
public
us,
space
or-
and in terms of the contractor, you mean?
Yeah, because last time you guys were a little lax on your erosion controls, so I'm a little concerned about that.
I'm not sure. I would love to learn more about what project it is that you're referencing, but the PSUP, the Public Space and Urban Forestry team, will be the project manager on this for construction. And we would be working very closely with offshoots as the licensed landscape architect on the project with, so we would be the ones that oversee construction.
Okay.
We would be doing as the designers of record too. We would also be
Mhm.
doing. We wouldn't be daily observation of construction, but we would be out there to do spot inspections, and we're usually pretty vigilant on the erosion control when we go out there. So even if we're not specifically out there to check erosion control, we're typically looking to make sure where sediment may have accumulated, because that's when you run into problems, right? If they haven't cleaned up when the actual erosion controls are doing their job, and then you get a big rain event and then it overtops it. So,
And we typically manage by weekly site visits. And if there's a particular need to go more often, my experience, at least with being on the PSUP team on active projects, is we will make a point of going there if it's needed during a specific, but generally speaking, once a week.
Is this project sufficiently large to require a permit from EPA, a general construction permit?
I believe based upon the area of disturbance and because it's discharging to water bodies of the United States and the state, that it would require a NIPD's permit.
Yeah, okay. But have you applied for one yet?
No, that would be applied once prior to construction.
The rest of our permits, to my understanding, and just like the rest of the projects that we do for public space, would be after we go out to bid. So my understanding is that this would follow the same procedure and timeline.
Right, after you go out to bid, but before construction.
Yes,
That's right.
absolutely. Nothing, we don't break ground without permits.
And that's usually filed by the contractor, because you want the contractor to be responsible for that, and you want their
Sure.
name to be associated with it.
Sure.
Because
Right.
then they're the ones responsible for closing
Right,
it up.
because then they'll be required to develop a sediment erosion control plan,
That's correct.
which presumably, which should have inspections and so forth, and iterated in the plan. After this size rain, often, at least in my experience, after rain events of a certain size, the silt fences and everything are inspected.
Yeah, we have on our notes that anything a quarter inch or more would require to be inspected.
Yeah.
When do we plan on starting construction?
The hope, if everything stays on timeline, which we are actively trying to do, and everyone is committed to, is likely late spring to early summer, I would think, for actually breaking ground. The plan is we go out to bid in February, provided everything stays on time at this point, and then it's usually about a 3-month process to do some of the things we were just discussing after awarding the bid, with like all of the permitting for contracts to circulate City Hall and whatnot, initial site meetings with the contractors, and before we actually get to work. There's moving pieces, of course, but that is the hope, and that is also what aligns with the funding that we have. So while it is possible with these big funds to shift some of the timelines if need be, we hope to keep everything on track. Construction would begin in 2026, and the schedule is scheduled to wrap up at the end of 2027 as currently presented.
You'll notify us when you're about to start construction.
Yes.
Okay.
I should have started with this. I mean, it looks like a great, project. I think all the improvements along the water, along the waterfront there are broadly welcomed, so, and I should have said that before starting the questioning. So thank you for coming, to us with this project.
I just had one
Thank you.
quick question. On one of the slides before, it looked like there was Chapter 91 jurisdiction nearby. Is any work taking place in Chapter 91? Okay. Great.
Very close nearby, but no.
I mean, isn't this all filled tideland?
So Brian, do you want to point to
it used to be a salt marsh.
Oops, I'm in the wrong. You guys are seeing the wrong plan. Yeah, this is the line right here. Chapter 91 jurisdiction.
Oh, okay.
So there is, I think one of the previous projects was in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
we came in front of you, but this one, because it's so close to the road.
Are there, what equipment, what level of equipment are you going to have? And is it going to be parked on site? And specifically, I guess I'm concerned about oil filled equipment. Oil and gas filled.
Yeah, I think from what equipment you would have on site would be similar to any sort of roadway project. Obviously, there'd be excavators, dump trucks. We're not repaving the entire road, so you don't really have that level of construction, but it's going to be mostly earth moving with the excavation and the installation of the path.
Will the stormwater pollution prevention plan cover protection for that equipment?
Yep, absolutely. That would be covered in the SWIP.
Yeah, and that's fine. And I'm happy to defer, for us to defer to that.
Okay.
Anyone have any other questions?
No.
Is there anyone?
I've got a question before we move on.
Yeah.
Can we go back to the structural stormwater controls for a second? Can you walk me through some of the calculations for phosphorus and sediment removal? And I'm specifically thinking about this is not thinking about how much coordination you had done with the city departments to make sure you're meeting their requirements for redevelopment that would require you to remove a certain amount of phosphorus and sediment from the overall load of conditions that you anticipate, at the end, the final conditions.
Sure. So the stormwater practice that we're using is, as I mentioned, is a tree trench, which gets a phosphorus reduction. I don't want to say something that I don't want to misspeak on this, but I can provide that information. But it does provide a level of phosphorus reduction because it's also, as I mentioned, although we don't have great infiltrating soils, we are getting a level of infiltration and then plant uptake. So we did look at the phosphorus reduction. I also mentioned we're trying to meet to the maximum extent practicable because we do have some site constraints that limit what we're able to do both at the surface and below the surface due to both the utilities. There's quite a few utilities because keep in mind, as I mentioned, we're pulling, we're reducing the road width. So where a lot of this landscape island is located, or this landscape buffer is located, is also, or currently right now is road where the utilities are located. So we did an underground, ground penetrating radar survey to try to really pinpoint those utilities. So we are providing a level of reduction. I can give you additional information on that if required, but I don't have that right in front of me.
And then what I'd like to add in terms of City of Somerville coordination is that at least over the past year, I know going back to early fall of 2024, we have been including the city's engineering team in all of the reviews. So the director of the city's engineering team has actually been the one who has been giving the review comments at each of these phases. And then in the last 2 reviews, and in this coming one, and in the final approval of construction documents, we also have included Stephanie, whose last name I'm forgetting right now, but she manages the city's GSI program. So she has been looking at these in detail, and we've been talking back and forth. So I'm unfamiliar as to what the specifics are in terms of phosphorus counts. But I know that Stephanie is responsible for looking at that at whatever is required of our GSI. And I'm happy to follow up and facilitate if we need specific numbers. Additionally, I do want to add too, it's related to earlier comments, I'd say, but I think one thing that feels important is also, just as Shelby mentioned, the closer view we did have on the trees and choice of plantings, especially as it comes to the reality of maintenance and what we can and cannot keep up. That's been critically important in looking at this site, especially with learnings in other areas of the city, like Somerville Ave, and we feel confident in the maintenance that we can keep up. And the trees specifically, that's where my team, which is, full of landscape architects like myself. So a second set of landscape architect eyes in addition to offsuits, and Vanessa specifically looked at the tree health from where the trees are planted on the boulevard and going through the structural soil with their roots, so that the roots have ample space to grow toward the park and for water to drain toward the park. So I was thinking about that back when you asked about the choice with impervious versus pervious paving for the path itself. I'd have to go back to what our decisions were in making that. It very well could have been cost from our side, but I know we feel very good about the decision with working with how much structural soil there is and plenty of room for healthy roots without buckling the path, which is one important part of the materials and depths that we chose. So my hope too is just, and I'll let the engineers speak to it because they know better, but just in general, that also the trees are contributing to that uptake. So we hope in general that I'm starting to mutter and meander now, but
I'll save you, Meg. It's okay.
Yeah,
Thank you. What I'm worried what I'm worried about here is like, so the Mystic River is already basically choked with phosphorus, and every time we do anytime we do a redevelopment project, we really need to be focusing on getting as much phosphorus out as we can, right? Okay. And the city of Somerville has stormwater requirements for post-construction for redevelopment projects like over an acre, which this would trigger. And those requirements come with specific phosphorus reductions from the proposed built environment, right? So you calculate what your runoff would contribute without any stormwater controls, and then you calculate what it would be with the stormwater controls you're proposing. Mm-hmm. And the city requires you to get a 50% reduction in phosphorus from the whatever baseline that you calculate. Okay. And I just want to know, like for this project in particular, you know, what was that one like? Where are those calculations? Are we meeting that standard that the city has? Um, and I'm like, this is sort of outside of our Concom purview, right? We are, as Brian mentioned, underneath the maximum extent practical for our stuff, but I do know that that exists, and I just want to make sure that there's been coordination with the city, that we're making sure we're meeting those requirements that the city has and that are really important for the river itself.
Absolutely. Well, I'm very happy you said this exactly when you did, because we are at one of those facilitation points. There has been coordination with all the teams who are responsible for stormwater in the city with engineering. But I think that specific question is something that I'll bring forward right now when we provide our comments on the 90% construction document set before they go to 100% due at the end of January, to make sure that we answer, are we meeting the city standards? So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Any other questions or discussion?
Just out of idle curiosity, do we have a species list for the trees you're proposing to put in?
Yes, you do.
We do.
If
Go
it was
ahead.
in the plan, I missed it. I may have overlooked it.
It is in the plans. There's a lot of sheets in there. So about halfway back at the beginning of the planting sheets, there is a comprehensive plant list page. There's a tree schedule.
Okay, I'll look it up.
Thanks.
Thank you.
This is another one we've been coordinating on too. Offshoots presented it, and as you know, Offshoots was a co-author on or lead author on the pollinator action plan and species. And then Vanessa and 3 other PSEF members also looked at the list from Offshoots and in previous reviews, and we will in this next one as well.
The one other thing I guess I could add too, and I think maybe Carl can speak to this a little bit, that I'm pretty sure the Mystic River Watershed Association endorses and recommends infiltration trenches or tree trenches like this as a phosphorus reduction method, or one of the options in your green infrastructure toolbox. So I do think, this is, again, maximum extent practicable, but based upon the conditions, I do think it's a good solution and a good option.
Certainly different details for each unique project and location, but yeah, it's we have a robust stormwater management program now, which is really, really great so far.
Forgive me, I'm embarrassed almost to ask this question. Is this an informational meeting, or was this a hearing? Are you guys looking for an order of conditions from us this evening?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Malik, is there anyone, can you open this up in case anyone that's on the call, from the public has any questions? Maybe they can raise their hands, Malik, and you can unmute them.
Absolutely. I'm gonna go through the attendees list right now. Let's see what we got. We got 6. Okay, attendees, I'm going to allow you guys to talk and feel free to chime in if you have any questions or concerns as it pertains to this project.
If there are no comments from the public, I would entertain a motion from a commissioner for us to proceed with this NOI request.
I would be happy to move that we move on with this NOI and draft an order of conditions, that we accept this and then draft an order of conditions for it.
Is there a second?
I guess I have a quick question. Do we need the revised, like more information on stormwater before we can issue an order of conditions? I don't know if that's a question for you.
So the concern is that, you know, I think they meet the requirements for the Wetlands Protection Act.
Okay.
Right. So I'm okay there. My only concern was really with meeting the city requirements at the same time, which will be above and beyond what is required for the Wetlands Protection Act. So
where it could have a bearing, I suppose, were the city to determine that they needed to do more, they need to remove more
correct.
phosphorus and needed to revise the plan in order to do so. Capture
Correct.
capture more of the runoff or something like that.
But they could come back
the
with an
case, then they'd
amendment.
come right. If that were the case, then they could come back for a modification or an amendment.
I can second it. The motion.
Okay, thank you. And I will let us vote. Michael,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Newton,
Yeah. Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right, so we will let you know. I guess Malik will let you know when there's an order of conditions.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
very
for your
much.
time.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you all very
everyone.
much.
Looks like a
Yes.
great project.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Yes, thank you
Thanks.
all.
Thank
Good night.
you all.
Yeah, and Meg,
Bye.
especially thank you for calling in on your vacation.
Agreed.
Oh,
Thanks,
and
Nick.
the least of the hall here. It is the design and consultant team. I'm happy to. Thank you.
We'll see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, good night all. Next on the agenda, I'd like to call up the odor condition amendment for the Mystic Bicycle and Pedestrian Bridge project. Malik, do we have folks on the call for that?
Yes. We have Richard Jabba, and we do have a few folks over here from ACOM. So should I promote the individuals from ACOM?
Yeah, please.
Absolutely. All
Thank
right, we'll do.
you.
All right.
All right. So anyone from the DOT or ACOM has just been promoted to panelists. If there's anyone I missed, just let me know in the chat and I will promote you. Thank you.
All right, the floor is
Yes.
yours.
All right. Thank you very much, Commissioner. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes. Hi, I'm Richard Jabra. I'm with Tetra Tech, working on the Mystic River Bicycle and Pedestrian Bridge project. Speaking on behalf of MassDOT and DCR for the proposed amendment to the order that was received or issued back in September. That's order 2870077. Actually, and I just want to preface this that I'm glad to see there's other work being done on the Mystic River along with our project. It's nice to see the area being improved. So for this project, we're seeking an amendment to the existing order to add in the landscape plan. And I'll have a short, just few slides I want to present just to go over what that is. If I'll share the screen. Let's see, I think.
There we go.
Can you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So let's see. So as I was saying, this is for the MassDOT and for DCR for the proposed bridge project. We were in front of you several months ago to get the order of conditions. Can you see the change in the screen now?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So the proposed project, as you know, is the Mystic River and Bicycle Pedestrian Bridge. The landscape portion of this project is on the Draw 7 Park, as shown and circled by this red line. Existing conditions, well, this reflects existing conditions of the park just prior to construction, where the park is under construction at this point. So the purpose of this amendment is to obtain or have the landscaping that was approved in the for Draw 7 Park construction be switched over to the bridge construction, because the park will be completed with their construction shortly, the next few months, I believe. And then the bridge project won't start up for another year. So the bridge project, where it's working on the south side of the Draw 7 Park and their improvements, they will take on the landscaping portion that's for the bridge area. So in order to do that, we need to amend the existing bridge order to allow for the landscaping that was approved in the Draw 7 Park. This is a landscape plan showing the proposed portion of Draw 7 Park where the bridge is doing its work, and everything to the right of these two orange lines, which are the buffer zone and the flood zone, is what is in jurisdiction. And this reflects the very similar plan that was done for landscaping in the Draw 7 Park approvals, which will now be done in the under the bridge project.
So just to clarify, so this is a request for amendment to the pedestrian bridge application in order to take on the landscaping that was going to be done under the Draw 7.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And so there'll be a simultaneous or a follow up to take it out of the Draw 7 plan, or how is that going to work?
Well, that will be done, I believe, by DCR and their.
Okay. Okay, so that'll be later.
Yes, I believe that they wanted. What I heard is that they wanted to do this one first to ensure that there was a carryover. They couldn't really take it out because then there wouldn't be any landscaping approved at all. So we had to do this first.
And that's actually kind of what I was going to get to, is what's going to happen, what is it going to be in the window in between Draw 7 Park wrapping up its work and the year or whatever that time is before we get to, to this project.
So in order for the contractors to finish their work and get a certificate of compliance, they will have to have the landscaping portion removed from the order, so to speak, so that they can get their certificate of compliance for the work that they've done, excluding this landscaping portion.
So theoretically, they need an amendment as well.
Yes, they would have to amend theirs. I mean, it's all well. I'm not sure how DCR is going to handle that. That's their order. It's not an order that MassDOT is working on.
Yeah. I guess I think Michael, I kind of agree with Michael. I think ultimately that it's in their interest to do that, but I'm more concerned about what the state of this area will be in between these two projects. At the point where DCR is saying, well, we're kind of done because we're not going to do this area where the bridge, where the pedestrian bridge is landing, and it's part of DOT's order to do it when they're done with the bridge. And that could be, although I know you're saying a year, I'm a realist, and I think it may well be, more than a year.
So to answer that, it will be the same state that was going to be left in when we got the current order for the bridge project. They were not going to touch this portion of the site. They were just going to leave it. And then the bridge is going to do the grading and the plaza and all the drainage work that they need to do, and now include the landscape portion.
Okay, that's
So it's just going to be like, it's going to be a construction zone, basically, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Richard, maybe I'll add to this too. I'm Dirk Rotenheis with AECom, a civil engineer, but on the landscape plans, the intent is that the park contract will leave this in a seeded condition, a lawn condition. There'll be some areas that would remain gravel, but it'll be all behind fencing.
so it'll be
so
it'll be stabilized but fenced.
Yes, it'll be fenced from the public park side, until the contractor then mobilizes and then occupies that for its construction.
Would that be that area in this graphic outlined by the black dotted line?
Yes.
Okay. And will the bike path be open during this period, or will it remain closed?
No, we've included into the documents for a contractor, and this is going to be a design build, but for into that that the shared use path remain open as much as possible. Given some safety conditions, they will have to close it while they're setting the bridge portions of that. And
yeah, because DCR had originally said they were going to try to leave it open, and then when they started doing work, they closed it, and it's been closed during the duration of their project. And I assume when they're finished, they'll open it, and then you guys will come along and
we'll close it only for a small segment and for a short duration.
Okay.
I think they currently closed it because it's the whole park, and there really wasn't a destination to get through there. But now it's a very small, for the bridge project, it'll be a smaller, condensed construction site where it can be closed off simply with some fences for however duration. I can't say what the duration would be, but it's going to remain open as much as possible during the construction.
So I just so I am clear on this. When we visited DCR a few months ago, or however long ago that was, they said that you guys are doing the landing zone. So that circle right in the middle there, you're doing that now and not them, correct?
Correct.
And so this whole black area inside the black line on both sides of the red line, you're in charge of now. Is that correct?
Yes.
So those like 20 or 30 trees that are on this picture, you guys are going to be responsible for? Is that what you're telling us?
Yes, we're taking them out of the park contract and putting them into the bridge contract, because if they're planted during the bridge or the park contract, they would just get destroyed and taken out by the bridge construction. So there's no sense to have those assets in there. So they'll just be installed during the bridge project.
So when the park is done, they will be done basically up to the black dotted line.
That's correct.
Okay.
But that area will be seeded and stabilized, and then closed to the public.
Yes.
So would that mean, though, going back to Michael's original question about the bike path, would that be able to skirt that area or get past that, if that's or is it just end there?
It's on the river side of this area, and it's in a lower elevation. What's happening at that area is there's a bridge that will go over the bike path.
So
it'll be a structure overhead. Right,
but during the period between the two projects, will the bike path be open? I mean, so basically, this black dotted line that Michael's referring to will actually be outside the bike path. The bike path will not be included in that.
The bike path will be, and maybe the black dotted line is adding some confusion. The interim site, when the park is completed, will have that bike path in there. So
it'll be open until you guys need to close it.
Until you close it again for the physical landing of the bridge.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Right. So I think that like you say, Michael, so that I understand the black dotted line is kind of the scope, the
of their work.
the
Yeah.
limit of the work, but for the purpose of, the period between the two projects, the fencing will be outside of the bike path. So the bike path will still be accessible.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay.
Joe, I know Joe Allwarden with with AECom as well. I didn't hear you, so are you muted?
He's doing sign language.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Joe.
Oh, now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, Joe Alwyn from AECom. I just raised my hand to clarify, but I think Dirk clarified it, that the intent is that path that you can see on the graphic there will be opened when the park is open. And then I think there also will have fencing along both sides of that path through the construction zone to keep people from wandering into the construction zone. And then Dirk has explained periodically it may need to be closed during certain safe, operations, lifting the bridge overhead, those kind of things. And that's coordinated with DCR on notifying folks about, that it's going to be closed, with appropriate signage, et cetera, for work durations.
Okay, yeah, no, thank you. Thank you both for that clarification. With regard to the landscape plan itself, I have to admit, I don't have both in front of me. It does look very similar to what was in the DCR plan. How different are they? And can you highlight any differences that you think are significant?
The amount of vegetation is the same. I think we've repositioned some of the trees just for some access areas in the future, and allowing there's a fence and a gate to have an opening in it. Very little has changed. All the waterfront planting areas are all the same. The designers from the park, we're working with them so that it will be virtually the same.
Okay. Do other commissioners any other questions? I do want to say that I do think this is an elegant solution, and I appreciate the two agencies working so efficiently together.
I would second that.
Thank you. There's been a lot of coordination.
Yeah, and in adding in a third agency in the MBTA is monumental in this, having the three agencies working together.
Are they involved, or are they a silent partner?
No, they're involved. Yeah. Yep. We do need some easements. We're going under their bridge. Right? Under their bridge. Yep.
Yeah, the scale is deceptive. Being out there, it's hard to believe there's room for, the two structures on top of one another. And the bike path underneath it.
So I'm going to ask you the same question I asked the other guys. When do you think that you would actually be doing this work? Like, when would the bridge piece be closing down the path and all of that kind of stuff?
Joe, you know better about the schedules. So this is a design build.
Right.
Oh, go ahead, Joe.
Sure, I can step in. I think this is a design build, and there's some folks on from MassDOT too that, so our package will be ready for advertising to the bidders, design builders, in March of next year. So March of 26. It'll be awarded in the fall of 26. So construction could conceivably start directly after that. So after the fall of 26. So October 26. When the activities on this particular side, of the project, where the contractor will start their operations, will kind of be up to them to some extent, obviously. But we're expecting some early work over here to get access to start the construction. But we don't know the exact timelines. And as far as when that path may be closed, we don't we won't know that until we get the final design from the design builder, and we'll have requirements for them in the specifications, which we're putting together now, on what their limitations are on those closures. And so that'll be to be determined.
Do
I
you
assume,
have an
go ahead, David.
do you have an estimate for how long construction will take?
Right now, we're thinking 30 months, so 2.5 years from that October date. I'm talking from that notice to proceed. So what is that? If I don't want to do the math wrong, 29, some late 29, right?
Yeah,
Mid 29.
mid 29. Yeah.
So the only thing I want to make sure of is that there will be adequate public notice of the closure of the path. So, because people will be using this as a commuting path.
Right.
And so they need to know. I assume you'll be putting out like signs and such, so people will know when you're going to be closing it.
Yes, that'll be written into the specifications.
Okay.
Anyone else have any questions or comments? Malik, same as before. Do you want to see if anyone, any members of the public have any questions or comments?
Understood. Let's peruse the attendees. Let's see, we have 3 attendees and 2 are now allowed to talk. So at this moment, if you're an attendee and you wish to speak of any comments, questions, or concerns as it pertains to this project, please let us know.
Okay, hearing no comments. Is anyone prepared to propose a motion to amend the DOT's order of conditions to include this landscape plan?
I'll make a motion. to
I'll
amend.
second it.
Thank you. I will call the roll. Susan,
Yes.
Newt,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Megan?
I'm not sure if I need to abstain from this. Malik, I don't know if you know, because it's connected to Draw 7, and I recuse myself from that project. So I might just abstain from this vote. Okay.
Well, in this case, you're voting on DOT's OOC.
Right.
But I mean, it's presuming if we have enough votes without you, it's fine with me. And I think we do. We need 4. So if you're more comfortable abstaining, you may abstain.
Yeah, I think I'll abstain from this.
Okay. And then so Megan is abstaining and I vote in favor. So it's 4-0-1 for people keeping track. And so we will so Malik will draw up the modification and we'll let you know when there's something ready for you.
Great. Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Great.
Again,
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, again, thank you guys very much for your time. Thank you,
Thank
like
you.
I said, for
Thank you, everyone.
this well worked through response to this issue.
Have a good evening.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Evening all.
Right.
Next on the agenda is I'm going to go back to the beginning of the list. In any correspondence or letters or notifications, Malik?
Let's see. Oh, just I believe I brought up the what is it called? The Mystic River's sewer separation project that's going to happen in the next year or so. They would
Isn't
like
that
to-
also on Shore Drive?
Yep.
It would be nice if they coordinate.
It would be
Yes.
nice.
Yeah, I don't think they have a choice. It's too big to ignore, so I think everyone's forced to coordinate.
Because they would never rip the streets up twice, right?
No, that's cost prohibitive.
I'm Somerville.
All right.
Yep.
So we're still waiting for, I forget, where are we on that? I know I do remember bringing it up.
I'm supposed to have a pre-submittal meeting with folks, and actually, if one of you would like to sit in on a pre-submittal to just go over what they would require to submit to Concom or any concerns, then I'm open to it. So, David, if you're open to that, I could rope you in.
Yeah, you can rope me in, or if anyone else wants to, has a passion for it, you can, and at time, I would defer.
All right.
All right.
So that is it on the correspondence.
Do you have any kind of time frame-ish for that?
I think I forgot. Let's see. I think I said it last time, but let's see what we got. Ross. So it's down the line, but I definitely don't remember. Let's see.
Okay.
I'll find out and forward it along to the commission.
Yeah, and obviously let me know.
Yep.
Next, the conservation agent action item review. Is that the review of ongoing projects? Is that what that refers to?
That is the stuff that I'm supposed to get done. So I'm supposed to meet up with Kristen Hill to deal with vacancy issues. We are well beyond this year, and we're switching mayors, so it might get convoluted. It will get convoluted as we're gonna have to transition from one administration to another. And I am optimistic that they're just going to want to open things up and move things faster. So we'll see how that goes.
But I tend to agree with you. I don't think anything is going to happen before a new mayor is
February. Yeah. They have to get their feet wet. It's going to be quite a few months.
I was naive before thinking, back when we were talking about this in October, that it could happen before the election,
Yeah, I'm no longer in the same building as the person that I've been trying to
August, whenever we were talking about. Yeah. Okay.
I was going to ask you about that, Malik. How did the move go? Are you in the new building?
Oh yeah, it's quite smooth. It went quite quickly. It was disruptive, but I'm all nestled in.
For those of us who don't know, where are you now?
We are in the TAB building
on Hall
over in Somerville.
Okay.
And I was really afraid that people wouldn't find the Tufts Administration building. I can't just start using acronyms. But yeah, it's in West Somerville, across the street from traffic and parking, more or less. So if you ever got a ticket in Somerville, you know where we are. So people have managed to find me there quite quickly. I've been there.
You get to have lunch with the seniors?
Oh, I wish. The Council of Aging has the funnest schedule ever. I think I'd add 20 years just to join them. But I digress. Yeah, so yeah, the move's been pretty good. I'm quite happy. The space is good. I think we're just kind of trying to figure things out on how things work.
Okay.
But parking's probably an issue for anyone visiting us.
But if you get a ticket, you can just go right across the street.
You can't. It's not managed by the city of Somerville. It's the Tufts building. Tufts own it.
Oh.
Yep. So that whole thing is different.
Well, you just
I
go
don't
to
have
the
to-
parking building, get your resident parking permit, put on your car, just park on the street and walk over.
There we go. I don't even have to drive. I'm a
Yeah.
6-minute walk away.
Oh, okay.
That's
And-
convenient.
Yeah, till I get a site visit across town. But yeah. So yeah, everything worked out, and OSPCD is there. Other departments are still in City Hall. So the annex is still in the annex for housing and housing stability and sustainability. OSPCD mobility, PSUF, economic development, planning, preservation, and zoning. They've all moved 5 departments to the TAP building. Nice. And that's more or less it. My next
There-
action item, I think, was to invite Cindy to the next meeting. So we could talk garden things before the end of before the beginning, before February's garden meeting. So we would preempt that, and then talk about how the last season was, what we want to do with this season, any problems, questions, or concerns she may have.
So, sorry, just before, so you're just thinking of inviting her to the next meeting or to?
Yeah, the next meeting.
Okay. Which
The
will
next
be
meeting would be
in
January, right?
January, because
Yep.
we don't normally meet in December, even though we're meeting in December.
Yep. So the next meeting would be January. I'll invite Cindy Seltzer, and then we could talk about the gardens meeting, which is usually in February, right?
Yes. I have an immediate question about the next meeting. It's the 23rd of December, which is fine for me.
No, we
but-
don't usually meet in December, though.
Yeah, we
Oh,
don't
that's
meet in
correct.
December.
I'm
So
sorry. You're right.
this would be tentatively this
In
would be
January.
our November meeting.
Right, this is our November meeting, and we're
This
not
is our
having,
November meeting.
right, yeah.
All right. I don't have a January calendar yet, so.
Yeah.
Ah.
Well,
Oh yeah, that's right. So
the,
January 27th. That's late.
Late.
That's pretty
But-
good. It buys me time.
but it is, the fact that we don't have a December meeting is a timely reminder to me that although there is some uncertainty in the air now, my Community Preservation Committee
It's
term
over.
is over, right? Well, actually, there's one more meeting. I can meet, December is my last month. So when they meet in January,
When is the January meeting?
it's
Do you know?
the fourth
Oh.
Wednesday.
Fourth Wednesday. Okay.
So it's
Sorry,
the
I'm looking
day
at that.
before ConCom, the 26th. Wait, 28th, day after.
The
So
day after,
Wednesday,
yeah.
January 28th.
So now I hesitate to say this, but supposedly there is so the way it works is representatives on the committee can serve 2 terms, right? 2 3-year terms. Historically, when someone leaves in the middle of a term and someone takes over that, you still can only serve a total of 2 terms, including the portion served by your predecessor. It's in that definition that my term ends in December. However, apparently there is some murmurings about the city council changing it so that someone that comes in the middle of a term still gets 2 full terms. If that were the case, I would have actually potentially I could have a whole nother term, so that I would get the 2 full terms plus whatever I served of my predecessor. I have no idea if that's going to happen. I have no idea if I want to do it. So I've been kind of saying for months now, saying that, really someone should be hopefully stepping up to take on this job. And I don't know if it has been just crickets so far. As I have said, it's actually pretty interesting, and contrary to us, where we can talk about, people not putting mud in the river once in a while. This is now they're going to have something like $7 million that we're distributing every year, to affordable. Well, affordable housing, we actually are kind of on the periphery of, because we're just going to give that money to the Affordable Housing Trust and they administer it.
How much is it now? 55% or 50?
55%.
55. Okay.
Yeah. So the other 45% is divided between open space and recreation and historical preservation, and we give out grants to support that work. And it's pretty fun, actually. So any takers?
I have been giving it some consideration, but I haven't decided yet.
Can you serve again?
It is my understanding that if you're out for at least a full term, the answer is yes.
Okay. There's no
Because I think Dick Bauer did that. Do you know Dick Bauer?
I know the name.
Well, he came on when I was on, and we were on together.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was out like I was, and after his 3 years of out, he went back on for at least one term.
Okay. He was historic preservation?
He's historic preservation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Eric Parks now.
Yeah.
But so folks are welcome to reach out to me, if in the interim, but I'm kind of assuming that nothing's going to happen before January, and so my term will end, and the Conservation Commission should have someone on the board, on the committee.
Well, worst comes to worst, we can always decide the day before the January meeting of the Community Preservation Committee.
I don't remember what the appointment process was. I don't think.
Because there is no formal appointment process, because the Conservation Commission has a member by virtue of the statute.
Right.
We are named specifically as a member, so we don't have to be appointed and approved by the city council.
So we can appoint and they serve the next day?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Because I do remember that it came up in my situation that we did have to educate the committee a little bit, that I didn't need approval by the city.
Did you read them the statute? That's all you have to do.
You might have, because you were still serving. No, you weren't serving.
No, I wasn't still serving, but
no, you weren't serving. We had an email exchange about it, and they were made aware of the error of their ways. So I just didn't remember, though, whether that was all there was to it or whether there was still a process.
Yeah. No, that's all there is. I mean, just because it's the same with the historic preservation, and I forget who else is named in the statute, but
all right. So we have until January 28th or whatever it is.
Yeah.
To decide.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've said enough. Is there is the garden subcommittee still in existence, or did it?
It reopens and closes seasonally.
Okay.
Within a necessary window, based on need.
Based on need, do we have to have some sort of project to do?
Yeah, I mean, right. I before it kind of was project specific. It was to come up with the new guidance for how, and I'm not sure if it completed its mission.
It most certainly completed its current mission with the waitlist.
That was our biggest waitlist thing, was our last mission.
Yeah. So I mean, so if we want to, if it's disbanded, I would suggest it can stay disbanded until the need arises.
That's definitely something we could talk to Cindy about, like any potential issues or.
Well, so that maybe is something then to discuss in the next meeting. Is whether there's issues that warrant, the additional attention by a subcommittee or the full committee.
Yeah, and then we could kind of get that heads up before everyone comes in February, and
Okay. The last thing on the agenda is approval of minutes, which cryptically has the item B, October 28th, 2025. Do we have minutes to review?
No, we do not. I was definitely ill over the last 10 days, as I'm pretty
Not to mention you
sure.
moved.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I wouldn't have, I didn't think we did, but
Yeah,
because
and
it was such a specific, agenda.
that's just the last meeting.
Yeah,
So I just
okay,
put the last meeting and then
that's fine.
passed. Yeah, and good call on not having that site visit because I wouldn't have made it. It's like I tried to do more than I could, may have fallen down the stairs, and then I just quit, gave up, and had my 102 fever and coughed my lungs up. But I guess I'm digressing again. So there's that. No minutes. Anything else? Oh, David, I'm going to give you a template of the minutes that I usually draft. And then if you feel free to
Yeah,
throw anything on there or you just
yeah, that's fine. I mean, the email I sent you was just those couple of standing things that I'd like us to do. I mean, and obviously if there isn't a garden subcommittee, we wouldn't put that on there, but just so people, one of the things that I had suggested to Malik after seeing this month's agenda was I'd like to have something on the agenda where we, in the unlikely event we have members of the public on the call that we solicit, we give them an opportunity to address us. I don't know why they, just so at least find out, why are you on this? Why did you join our call? If there's no one on the call, then obviously we don't do that. If no one wants to say anything, we're not putting anyone on the spot. We're just, just to have a standing, agenda item, to give members of the public the opportunity to bring up whatever it is they came on the call to bring up. And then the other thing I forget was, they were all, so you're welcome to send it to me, draft. I welcome that. But those couple of things were just things I thought could just be, standing items.
on the Urban Forestry Committee, they have a section called resident concerns in the beginning.
Yeah, and we added it recently to the CPC agenda too, kind of, I think for the same, reason, just, to give the public, especially since we're meeting, remotely and, you can't even tell that people are there unless you look for them.
Is there any discussion of ending the remote meetings?
Tonight, I'm really glad it's still remote.
Me too.
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard any. I wouldn't hear anything, but
yeah, it's cumbersome to get access, and I think we do have a really big boardroom. I think we would have even filled it today with just the applicants and representatives from the NOIs and OOC amendments. It really did open up for people to chime in to the Conservation Commission being remote versus having to commute. Probably just coming off of work.
Yeah.
So it makes it accessible for sharing data too, files without having everything being printed out, distributed. Hybrid meetings are quite the mess.
I mean, I do agree. I think the worst of both worlds is hybrid meetings.
It is.
And some people are in the room and some people are not.
Yep.
All right.
I do, however, love our site visits.
Yeah. Well, and I'm newly available to participate in them. Does anyone have any other items? If not, I will entertain a motion that we close. That we adjourn.
So move.
So I'll second.
All right. And remember, just raise our hands if you concur with us closing the meeting tonight. All right. Thank you all very much.
All right.
And
Good night, all.
enjoy the end of the year and in your holidays. And we'll see you all in January. And again, if anybody wants to reach out to me, I think you guys all have my email address somewhere, right? Everyone have that? Yeah.
Somewhere, yeah.
I'm happy to talk to anybody about the CPC in more detail.
Okay.
All right. Have a
Good
good
night,
night.
all.
Thank you.
Can I
Night. Did you have anything else, Malik? Or you